Special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Let me say also good morning to those of you who are viewing us via GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20. Good morning. The world, good morning to you. Those of you via social media platforms, whether it's the Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning. GBN's webpage, gbn.gd. Good Monday morning to you. It's the 13th day of January 2025. Let me say good morning to Mr. Sylvan McIntyre. Good morning to you, sir, and welcome. It's like a little bit of a bittersweet day for you too, right?
Yeah, good morning to you, GT. Yeah.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to all the viewers, the listeners, the followers again. It's really my pleasure to be in studio.
Yeah.
On Monday, I really didn't look forward to getting out today, the 13th of January. It's actually the birth date of my son who was killed tragically. He would have been 34 years today.
All right.
But understanding what we are about and what we mean for Grenada, I have to pick myself up, dust it off, and come off to do a program that makes us feel safer. And having said that, I feel safer. Yeah. So I'm safer because of, in a lot of ways, the initiative that was created out of this tragedy. And some people actually expressed that they too feel safer that, we are doing this initiative. They are more aware, more conscious, and they are contributing more to the safety of our nation.
All right, great.
Bottom line.
Yes. As it goes. Tell me, the Safer, of course, Foundation. Tell me a little bit about that before we continue this one. How are things going in it thus far? I know the last time we spoke, you were thinking about a lot of the initiative you planned from that probably didn't get completed in 2024. Yeah. Now we're in 2025, and you're moving forward. There are new initiatives you're planning to institute. How are things going thus far?
Yes.
That's a short conversation on that.
Right. So the Safer, that is the Asha McIntyre Safety Foundation for Roads.
Yeah.
We have been building ourselves internally, ensuring that our infrastructure is properly built. Our licenses was one of the things that we wanted to have gone through, and after 1 year exactly, we had the licenses issued to us, coincidentally just around the time that he was killed. And from that, we put our executive together, and we had our council established basically, so that we can have people contributing to the process. We look at the instruments of collaboration, advocacy and collaboration. Advocacy seems to have been the strongest area that we've been able to make some inroads in, that we've been able to do those programs, we've been able to represent and do some presentations on road safety in particular.
All right.
For this year, we are intending to continue the advocacy in terms of highlighting the safety issues across, but our intention is now to make the roads into our institutions. Okay. That's one of the bigger focus for this year. I'm intending not to be the sole person on the programs throughout the year, although people say I seem to be the rock and the root of the program I should be on. But even if I'm not, and I'm along with somebody else, that is fine. But our focus, coming to the end of the year 2024 as well, we did some of our safety gift to Grenada, the first aid presentations, and they were a bit more structured in that we did through organized groups like the churches and so on, a few groups at community level. We were able to do presentations to them rather than the roadside initiatives that we did the year before. Going forward, we will continue that throughout the year, but what we are looking at is to be able to build our capacity in terms of the instruments to deliver. So that's where we're going to be coming in. We'll be asking for more tangible support from members of the public through the diaspora, all those who expressed interest in wanting to support. We will need some instruments for first aid and first responders training, for instance. Our mannequins and so on, we need to upgrade them. Our stretchers, we need additional ones and so forth. We want to be able to have, we spoke about the automated external defibrillators that are so important. We want to be able to have at least 2 of those that we can use for teaching and demonstration purposes. And like aspect of dressings and bandagings and certain things throughout our process. These are some of the support we need. I'm also doing a drive to recruit people to be on board with us. And we do have a new one coming up, which is called Drivers.
Drivers.
Yeah, Drivers. You're going to hear about Drivers.
All right.
As a disaster.
I'm eagerly anticipated. I mean, I never said that you pussy, but I would like to participate sometimes.
Correct.
If you go, let me know when it's happening and come around, because
absolutely.
So things of that nature, of course,
that's
will be of interest to me.
So we as we on it, that's a follow through on our disaster risk initiatives.
Yes.
And on our safety program through it's called Disaster Risk Reduction Innovative Emergency Responders.
Okay.
That's drivers.
Oh, drivers.
And so we want to be the movers, the shakers, the drivers of the process. Disaster risk reduction, obviously, is part of what we do. We want to be very innovative, and we want to encourage persons to be volunteers for emergencies and so forth. Right. So you're going to see that we want to be able to complement the national structure of NADMA. We understand that they do have the community initiative and so forth, but sometimes people want to, bypass all the bureaucracies of the systems. Yes. And so they want to be more community oriented. So we thought that there's a niche, there's a gap for us to be able to collaborate. Yeah. So my intention, God give the health and strength, is to be able to build more of that capacity throughout our communities. And I can tell you, we're going to we have had, just as I spoke, you found yourself interested.
Yeah.
And just as I speak, and now I'm going to get some calls after this.
Yeah.
We're going to be setting up our sites and our information process. People can, call in, email in, register, and then we'll have training. One of the key things would be training. I would never send people out without giving them the knowledge, equipping them with
whether it's of a basic level, but they should have a know-how of what they're going to
do it.
Yes.
And I'm sure that is going to be a very welcome initiative to complement our emergency response capacity across country.
All right. Yeah. Programs of the nature that you speak about is so needed in our society today. Mm-hmm. Just last week you spoke of someone who have saved someone's life.
Yes.
Just having that basic knowledge.
Yes.
And imagine if every community could have at least a minimum of 10 persons having that basic knowledge of that can assist them, and just in case there's something that occurs, that they could just show that little knowledge that they have.
Yes.
And save someone's life.
Yes.
I think it will be a plus for Grenada.
We have been the leaders of a lot of processes throughout the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Negative and positive, because we become almost the second gun capital of the region of the world now. We're using a lot of firearms, so for that negative publicity.
Yeah.
But in terms of our intellectual capacity, Grenada has always excelled.
Yes.
Throughout, we've performed, we've held top levels in terms of our resilience to do things.
Yes.
Grenada is up there. And so there are a lot of things. If you recognize the intellectuals and the technocrats that we've produced over the years that serve the Caribbean and our world, you realize that Grenada is really up there. If you look at our athletics capacity, Kirani James and the others, they are representing per capita. We are up there in the world, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and so on. That is really, Grenada has a lot to offer, and so we want to be able to continue to build that and offer to the world. We want to be good ourselves.
Yes.
And as we build Grenada, we don't want to just build Grenada for the tourists. We want to build it for ourselves that we can enjoy. And this is why you would hear me speak later on, like I did yesterday. Our sense of community must be rebuilt.
Yes.
Or in case where it is built, we must continue to build on it or to strengthen it and so forth. And that's what we're going to see. There are some things that are neglected throughout the islands in some places, and our programs, as we've been doing, would be to highlight those issues, those safety issues in particular, that we can continue to have a very more safe community environment to operate from. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that when you ask me about the weekend and so that we did not speak about.
Yeah, but we want to dive into that. We're just talking about the safer for now, just to get out. That. But the weekend.
The weekend. Oh, it's kind of a cool. Again, it's a bittersweet moment, walking into all of that. I was thinking about when my son was born, and then tomorrow, the 14th of January, the preliminary inquiry into that accident is going to happen. So I have 13 and 14. So when these moments come around, it's kind of a heavy. But outside those dark, heavy moments, I had a moment to be involved, integrate with some people. I met a young man last week from SIEP, I think, and that young man, as we talk about senior citizens and all that.
Yeah.
A young man saying how impressed he is with the program, how contributing the program is to Grenada, and you really appreciate it. And he did make a contribution to me saying, and give an idea as to how we can address some things. I'm going to speak about that later on. And I engaged in some capacity of emergency response structure at the sports meet we had at the National Stadium.
Okay.
I think it's Color Green sports meet there was, and we had quite a number of athletes and other people that we were attending to and responding to with the program and so on. That was really cool for me and the emergency people I had. But in addition to my social aspect of it, with the awareness on the issues. So GT, I went into the rural community, and do you know we do have boiling springs in Grenada, yes? Hot springs.
I know that.
Do you know they're very therapeutic as well?
Yes, I know that.
And the older people speak about it, and this is one of the reasons why our program will focus on the elderly and the disabled people, because I have an aspect of that. So I went to one of those areas, the boiling spring, that was neglected from after Hurricane Beryl.
Yeah.
So after Hurricane Beryl, a Trinidadian friend of mine and so forth, we went there, and that one of those boiling springs had completely covered with bamboo and everything else. And so we went and we were able to clear an aspect of it, and I have photos of that too.
Yeah.
But over the weekend I went there again and found that the aspect of that we cleared, it was maintained. But people cannot use that one because still we had the bamboo and all the mash, and the water became silty and almost stagnant. So it was really ugly. I have photos of that. And I went in, and a couple of us, we went in there and we did some cleaning.
Yeah.
Oh man. My father created an aspect, Benedict McIntyre, he did a stone there where people can go in and put your drinks to cool and so on, but that area was neglected. And they say that it has healing and therapeutic properties in the boiling spring. And we went in there with my machete or my cutlass. I cut the bamboo, I removed things around, cleared the flowers and everything else, and spade and bucket and so on. Me and my friend, and we were able to move some of that thing and get that water moving. That was a relieving moment for me to help recreate that boiling spring that people can go to and have, a moment to relax, reflect, and still get the healing properties to the sulfur and other thing that comes from it, and the soda water from it. Yeah. It's proper soda water, you know that.
I have been to the one in the River Sally area.
Yeah, I'm speaking about the one in Claboni.
Yeah.
So the road in itself is terrible. That is something, again, we're going to speak about that. We cannot neglect places of recreation and pastime activities in Grenada. We just, even if it is on private, the lands up there owned privately and so forth, but you cannot now prevent people from going there because it has been used from almost time immemorial. So what we should be able to do is to enhance those facilities that people can go to. Yes. And trust me, I was able to spend some time there. I was making an appeal for restoration of that area with persons who hike and are concerned about the environment and use it. I'll be making an appeal for us to go there and to clean out more of the silt. Yeah. Interesting. It's the second place in Grenada where I know we have natural hot and cold water facility. Yeah. The Golden Falls, you've been there?
Never been.
But you saw photos of it?
I have seen photos of it.
So there is hot and cold at the Golden Pond.
Yes.
And now I recovered, created or extended by the impact of Beryl. Yeah. We had some landslides in that area. So now there is a proper cold water section and a warm water section.
Formed naturally.
Formed naturally, side by side.
Yeah.
And nature in itself is responding to things. Well, nature impacted negatively in some way, but we had to, build from the positive. So right now, I think there's an opportunity for us to be able to create, and my idea is similar, for us to demarcate maybe a little bit to debar sometimes for mixing of the two. Yes. You can create an area where people can get into the cold and the hot, all naturally created from just straight off the mountaintop. Yeah. What better can you?
Conversation with the authorities, the tourism authority and so forth. Have you ever think about having a conversation with them? I know you smile about that, sir,
but I would wish to be able to have
because things like that can enhance the product that we want to offer, especially when folks want to visit the island. Yeah. Things of those nature, the natural aesthetics of the island. Yeah. Those are the things that folks would like to come to Grenada to see. They want to drive around on a bus all the time and seeing buildings that they see in their country.
Yes, and you go to a place that we call a lake and it look like a big drain or something, or a big holding area.
Exactly.
That has nothing about that.
I mean, sometimes it worries me. Sometimes they may not like we saying it in that way, but what are the authorities doing? Especially the folks who are responsible for that. Yeah. Do they take a drive around themselves?
Yeah.
and see what we are selling as a product for folks visiting the island.
Yeah, and when we talk about lakes, as I mentioned, that these folks know what lakes are.
Exactly.
Some of them naturally, in Florida in particular, they create number of lakes naturally.
Bringing people coming to our country to see a lake, to me, I always say it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
And to see a lake that is not, you see the history behind the lake. It's a volcano crater lake.
Yes.
So what should be the emphasis? The volcano, the history of it, and how it was created, and all of the other things that we should put around it, and how it could be maintained otherwise. So people are coming here who are used to large bodies of water, not coming to see some water with marsh and thing around it. They're coming to understand why is this water there and
the history behind it. And I understand, and then sometimes the folks who are even offering a tour and stuff to them may not even have knowledge about the information that relates to it also.
Yeah.
So I look at it and I say, it's like waste of time.
And when you go, we spoke about it last time, that at 6 p.m. they used to be closing the gate.
Yes.
And I asked, what are you protecting inside there? Yeah, nothing. Why people going to lose inside or take from inside there? Maybe nothing. And here what? Before you take a break, the same aspect of the Boiling Spring and other places of interest in Grenada, we take too many things for granted.
Yeah.
Now people are paying to go to the Ardeal's waterfall. I can tell you sooner or later we have to be paying and should be paying to go to these hot springs and other things, because we need to maintain those facilities. Because
I don't have a problem with the paying aspect of it.
Yeah,
I don't have it. I mean,
but you must pay for something that you can benefit from.
Something that you benefit and reasonable, and something that when you go there, there's something to learn from it also.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Absolutely.
You're paying just to go see something that you could just walk in and walk out. Doesn't make a difference. You understand? I have had family members come and visit these places, and I was like,
well, what am I seeing? What do you
come here for? I mean, you as being a local yourself, you visited and you wonder, well, why even come here?
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, we talking about our country. Folks may say we're bashing to a point,
well,
but sometimes these things need to be looked into on a serious nature.
And what happened to people say we do not? You asked me about the authority and the tourism authority and these people, etc. To be honest, my expertise and my knowledge, I would not force on anyone. But if I'm requested, to be honest, to contribute to something, I'm quite willing.
I know that.
And so I've made.
You would not even hesitate if you were being called upon.
I made efforts to make contributions somewhere. And people say to me, Mr. McIntyre, you've been underutilized in a lot of ways. And so I said it was up to us. I would do as much when I could, how I could. But we tend, in a lot of ways, not to appreciate too much what we have, whether it is the human resource or the natural resource that our own country would have, and how beautiful and everything it is. That's one of the weaknesses that we have. And if we learn to be able to enhance and appreciate our own people, our own things, I'm sure we'd be
I mean, once we could get the bureaucracy cut out in a lot of these things, In
a lot of ways. And people looking, you know what? I am not looking for recognition or anything of that sort. I am looking for results.
Been there, done that. You could say that.
Improvements. What I do, what I contribute. I don't want payment for those stuff. I want to be able to see that we are able to enjoy a better life as long as God give us this life or not as well. And I love to see people happy. I love to see people, make use of what we have, especially our homegrown stuff, but it's our culture, whether it is our landscape or otherwise. Once we can enjoy it and I could contribute to that give me, as I always say, millions of dollars. That's where I'm a millionaire.
And sometimes I look at these things myself and I wonder why these things are allowed to deteriorate to the level that they have got over the years. Just deteriorated. And it's like, I mean, we don't want to hear it, but sometimes we wonder why the authorities are just leaving it and allowing it to deteriorate over and over on a daily basis. It's not about who particular administration is in power or anything like that. Yeah. It's we, the people of the country, that are supposed to be protecting these things.
Yeah, and
we are making the effort to make it happen. You understand?
Yes. And I have one way that I mentioned on the program we can address those issues. Who guards the bodyguards and who bail the cat?
Yeah.
And who police the police and who police the guards? The point in all of this is that we have to hold those responsible. Yeah. And we have to ensure that we are able to sit down, rearticulate, redesign job descriptions, terms of reference, and we enforce them.
Yeah.
And if they are not enforced, there are penalties, repercussions, or other things that can happen as a result of not getting them done. But too many times we see people have responsibility. Institutions by reason of their function, they have responsibility for certain things, and we allow it to happen, and they're not held responsible. And when people and things are not enforced, or people are not held responsible for what they should do, it become embedded within the culture. So you are recultured in doing the things that are not appropriate. I spoke about losing our sense of community. There was one time we cleaned up around us where we lived, and then we created other systems that sometimes impeded on our ability to come out and volunteer and do things. And then we generate this dependence on the government have to do it, or people have to be paid to do stuff. And so we lose that sense of nationalism. We're speaking about independence.
Folks are not even community-oriented anymore.
We're not able to build groups together. And then we allow the electronic era and the gadgets and everything to capture the human mind and to take up the spaces and places that we really should be involved. Those gadgets don't have the kind of a brain that we have. They have a different kind of brain, and they would work with what we inbuild them to do and what we put into them.
We allow them to influence us too.
And they influence us. And we are, rather than leading the gadgets, we allow the gadgets to lead us.
I know.
Rather than using them, we allow them to use us. And if you have your child and it did not control that child will be in the house day after day, night after night. They're not even taking a break to go to the fridge or to come outside. And
all they do is being on those gadgets
whole time.
Yeah, I also do understand. And you see, sometimes you watch when these community activities are happening, and you see minimal participation from folks in the community,
and
whatever reason.
Why?
And you ask, but most of the time you hear the reason why. I ain't getting paid for that.
Right.
That's the language I'm hearing from a lot of folks who they ain't paying me for that. Why you gonna help to do that for I ain't getting paid?
And where is that? What's the genesis of that?
Yeah.
The adults today were children yesterday.
So true.
So it goes back to the family root and what we teach our children to do. And people talk about the child is doing this and the child is doing that. I said it on the program before. From the fetus, the zygote, embryo, from the inside, you have to start that process of culturing and teaching.
Yeah.
And from since they're small, they born with instruments in the hand, they born with gadgets in the hand. You know that?
I know.
And
so back, we do for a break. Let's take it, and then of course when we come back, we could probably stay and can talk this particular part of the show all day.
Yeah, but that's cool. I think that people a lot.
But it's understandable. I mean, sometimes you have to bring out sometimes the thoughts and your feelings in a particular way sometimes, because sometimes we just keep them embedded, and then what happens, it gets nowhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't feel it's a proper forum. Not always will be the proper forum to say it, but sometimes you just have to say it.
Absolutely.
We'll be right back after the break. When we come back with some Mac, we want to talk about road safety, our main source of conversation this morning.
With a focus on
and of course facilities and the faculty, and is it the facilitation
for the senior citizens and disabled persons.
All right, when we come back, stay with us, folks. Don't touch it out.
The St. John's Christian Secondary School 60th anniversary, January 12th to the 19th, 2025, celebrating 60 years of excellence through God's grace and guidance, calling all alumni. Come out and celebrate with us. Here's the calendar of events. On Sunday, January 12th, church service at the school auditorium from 9:30 a.m. Wednesday, January 15th, meet and greet at Belmont Estate 3:30 p.m. Thursday, January 16th, health fair at the school from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Friday, 17th January, chapel day, open forum at 10 a.m., open house at 11 a.m. Sunday, January 19th, gala at the Trade Center from 7 p.m.
Grenada is indeed beautiful and worth exploring. We firmly believe that you should be allowed to do so. Why not explore Grenada with James Services Corp Off-Road Tours? Whether you decide to explore Grenada with your family, spouse, or large group of friends, we are ready to welcome you. Our tours are guaranteed to leave you with wonderful memories of Grenada if you are visiting, and excitement if you live here. Book a tour with us now by visiting our website www.jamessvcs.com. Call 1473-442-3769 or email info@jamessvcs.com. James Services Corp Off-Road Tours.
I am Dennis James Williams, owner and director of James Services Corp. Looking forward to welcoming you to the beautiful island of Union to explore with James Services Corp Off-Road Tours. See you soon.
Explore our beautiful island of Grenada from an angle that is unique and off-road, but equally fun. We are 100% family-friendly tours.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to the Point Classic Radio GBN TV. Mr. Of course, McIntyre, we're back. We want to shift our focus a wee bit from the general conversation we've been having a while ago.
No
we want to talk about road safety facilities. Explain that for me. When you say road safety facilities, and of course, you also want to mention, facilities, especially for senior citizens and so forth. Let's talk a wee bit in relation to that.
So I want to speak on facilities and facilitation.
Yeah.
And the two differ in that some speak of the amenities that are created, and the other aspect speaks of how we help and contribute towards that process. The elderly, to a large extent, and our disabled community, in my opinion, we are very harsh and sometimes hostile to them. Mm-hmm. In maybe unknowingly, unintentionally, it comes across in that way. And there are a lot of things that we do not take into consideration. Our younger generation, no disregard to them, I love them, but in some way, they are losing the sense of the contribution that our seniors and sometimes our disabled persons have made to our society. I know sometimes fault of theirs, sometimes we did not pass on the information and let them know who these people are. I take, for instance, I was having a conversation yesterday, and we were speaking about how some of the disabled people are treated and what there is for them to get them along the streets and what there is for them to be able to utilize as facilities for the numbers that they may want to do. Numbers one and number two, they want to urinate, they may want to defecate or other things of that sort. And the facilities along our public space do not always cater for them. In terms of road safety, that has a number of different facets to it. I speak specifically of the senior citizens who may drive. Yeah. The alertness and the muscles and all that will decrease over time, including sight. And sometimes our custodians are sometimes not very sensitive to the people who have contributed over the years to building our societies, and in some ways we think that even when they are penalized, even for traffic situation, that it feels a bit insensitive and unconscionable in the way sometimes they are treated. You see senior citizens, they are hustled along the way when they're driving at a particular speed. You may see them being ticketed for things that sometimes unknowingly their awareness did not bring them up to that level. Yeah. And sometimes you see the law enforcement people exhibited limited tolerance in dealing with these people. The point I'm trying to make here is that we have to create the environment to be able to facilitate those persons to move along and help them in some way. In other words, if a senior person has a motor vehicle challenge, maybe he or she did not put on the seat belt, or they may have a tire that has gotten smooth over a period of time and so forth, I think people have to be more aware that you need to be able to bring it out to their attention, give them an opportunity to get it corrected, and I've had situations, particularly over the Christmas and New Year's holidays, when police are out in their numbers and warnings and so forth. And a few of them have spoken about the way they have been treated, and I think that aspect needs to be enhanced. To build on that, my recent conversation is that there are national contributors who are not up on podiums for national awards and to be considered national heroes, but they have contributed as public servants, as engineers, and people in our society, law enforcement, etc. And I believe that we need to move to the point where we are able to give these persons particular IDs that they can carry, yes, that can facilitate them through business places, You can give them cards or stickers that they can put on the vehicles, so that when law enforcement people approach them, they could be a bit more tolerant and to understand that these are people who have contributed. I mean, everybody may say, but when you get to a particular age, you're old, we should look after every older senior person in the same way. Maybe not quite. But there are some persons who have lived their life recklessly and otherwise, and maybe have not done as much. But there are some persons you need to particularly facilitate. And I speak of, in some instances, you have nurses who've gone on most of their life helping people, and these nurses, they become at a particular age where they're not able to do as they were doing before. Law enforcement officers. My point is that we should give those persons certain ID that you can put on the vehicle. So if they are in a particular place, the parking, a police officer comes and they put this on the screen. The police officer know that this is an ex-nurse, an ex-public servant, X, Y, and Z, or there's a marker, a coding that says facilitate, be tolerant, give them the few minutes, don't charge them for this. If they enter a store or someplace, they should be allowed, to be, like in some public places, they have senior citizens line. And you ask, what is the category of a senior citizen? And fellas walk in there and otherwise, and they say, well, I'm senior. But there has to be...
I got away with it once.
Because you have beard in your face, and it kind of... And you're a young man, all right? So they need to put an age category 1 to say persons 50 years and over, 45 and over, senior citizen or else. Because... And how do I verify that? Because some of them who are in the 30s and 40s look older than I am. No disregard to that, because X, Y, and Z. But the point is, I'm saying that has to be structured. And we have to cater for our seniors. We have to respect them a bit more. And our society must convert itself and channel itself and move itself in that way that our senior persons feel easier to get around, that they are helped, that they are facilitated, that they are given the amenities that would cater for them. You look at markings. You have the people who are blind, and they need the brailles and these other things that they can feel. How many public spaces do have that they can feel some reading and read that this is what
very
this is
limited. And it's very limited too, if they are any.
As they move along the road spaces and so on. You look at the edges. I have some photos that I took over the weekend. I think I sent.
We do. You're
going to throw that up.
We're going to feature that.
Some of the edges of the street where vehicles can just run off. I have heard of places where people, even if they may have gotten these sticks that they use to guide them, but sometimes they may have gotten so close, not even feeling that and they slip off and will damage themselves. So our society has to become more friendly to creating the facilities and to be able to facilitate our senior persons and our persons who are living with some form of disability. Our system, it's really too unfriendly.
It just don't cater for
and does not cater sufficiently for our senior citizens and those persons who have disabilities.
I was driving along the Grand Dance Road there just a few days ago, and see what you speak of, and I noticed there's someone, a gentleman, he may not be that elderly, but you can see he had vision problems. And he was using his stick to that sidewalk along the Grand Dance area, and he was, and the area that he was going to cross, the area was broken. So it took him a while before he was able to figure out that he could move on, because when he touched, I guess he get the impression, well, there's nothing there. But just that the sidewalk was broken. You understand? So it took him a while. And I mean, I was driving, I couldn't get off. If you when you stop in the road, it's a problem. You can't just stop and pull up to especially the area where I was. But everybody was just passing him, especially who was walking along, and nobody offered any assistance. I looked at that. But I had to continue driving because I couldn't just stop and disturb the traffic for that. But I'd look at it in that particular way, in terms of how folks have gotten to a point where we pay little and no attention, folks with a disability of those natures around.
And how does a disabled person who is blind know when he gets to a pedestrian crossing? And there are things that you can create that when they use that cane to assist them, that marking will give them a sense of direction and angle as to when they get to that point that this is a pedestrian cross. So over time they get used to these. They move from their homes, they get on the buses, and by movement and so on, there are places that are familiar to them. They can do that. When they are expected to move out of an unfamiliar space, how are they able to be facilitated? And I think there's a lot more we need to sit and to discuss from the social development departments, ministries, and even our community groups and so on, or religious entities and segments. How do we cater for these persons who may have contributed in some way or the other, or whether or not they have not contributed, but by reason of you getting to a particular age and stage, what do we do to be able to facilitate you through?
We can't expect them to just remain home all the time.
No.
I mean, they need some outdoor activity, need to be move around themselves and so forth. So it's not expected because they have a disability, they should just remain indoors. You understand?
And I can tell you, as I spoke of the natural environment of recreation and outdoor activities that we spoke about, you look at how do you get to these places, the access. Some of them are not very difficult to get to generally.
No.
But because the road spaces have not been created, I mean, some of them, all they need is a grader or something to scrape some of the surface.
Yeah.
And four-wheelers or other regular vehicles, once there are no big ditches, you can move through. And the trails that are created to some of these places that are not very far off the main road, if you are able to put steps and rails and other things, even people with disabilities should be able to get to those places.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've seen some initiative. I know there was one of the credit unions over the weekend. Oh, no, sorry, the Christmas holiday. I saw them with an initiative caring for the senior citizens, maybe those who've been in the membership.
Yeah.
And they took them out, had them do some forms of recreation.
Yes.
Which was really cool. But generally, we need to be able to create those spaces, those steps, those access that they can walk and they can go to without depending. When you get to a particular stage, whether you're sick or otherwise, and you have to depend on people to do things for you, that could be another form of depression. Yeah. Because you've been so independent.
My mindset has always
your mindset, you've been doing things,
myself,
and now asking somebody, people like to feel, even at an older
level
age,
of independence,
that I am independent, I am capable. Even like young children, they like to prove to you as a parent, daddy or mommy, I am capable. They want to be able to do it. Once a man, twice a child. When you get to that older stage as well, you want not to feel that you are a pressure or a weight or a dependent on anybody. So if we are able to create the environment, the facility, the enabling environment for our senior citizens and disabled persons to operate, including road safety on our roads, we need to be able to cater for them a bit more. And I emphasize the rails, the brails, the things that would assist them in getting around, and the crossings. I cannot emphasize that more than that issue. And I wish that people would see my point and let us rally around it. I took pictures of some of these bridges.
And I hope Master Control could start, popping them up for us.
That is a danger, not just to the regular persons. Yeah. You come off Old Fort Road and you drive down on the opposite side of Locust Street where that tailor shop is. Yeah. A vehicle's brake challenge, they can go over that place. Have you seen that?
I mean, we're happy that the drains were covered.
Yeah, but
then it's still an open...
A valley down the bottom side.
The bottom.
You look at that place as you leave the Deco Service Center going up on the left side towards Mungie. Yeah. A vehicle not over 3 weeks ago went down, they hit another into that river. And if you look at that edge, I think part of the photo I took is reflecting that the road level is right up on the edge of that bridge that was created many, many years ago.
Yes.
And so it is very easy for somebody having a sway or otherwise sub ending up down in the bottom. I look at that bridge up in St. Andrew and on my way to the hot spring. The rail part of that bridge where kids were jumping down over sometime, a portion of that thing is broken. Vehicles can get right down there into that river. The bridge on the opposite side leading to the Princess Alice Hospital section. The rails have been broken. I spoke about that before. Nobody has seen it as their business to recreate that rail, even from the community. Yeah. I look at also the potholes. There are big potholes, about 3 or 4. I think it's definitely more than 3 inches deep. Yeah. On top, one of those bridges. So vehicles actually have to slow down to go down, because it's not hole in the road, it is the road in the hole.
In the hole.
On the bridge. So you have to slow down now, creating that additional weight to be on that space for a longer period of time when the bridges themselves are also deteriorating underneath. So my next step would be to go under those places, and I will show you the general public.
And we did have some pictures as relates to that in the past. Sometime last year. We
how
did
some of them are deteriorating.
Some of the bridges are deteriorating already. And do you think anything was looked into that as yet? If anyone in authority did view our show and saw and thought, well, maybe I could follow through on what Mr. McIntyre was saying.
I have not seen any physical movement in that direction, but I think what they seem to have been doing is maybe walking behind the scenes, listening to us, and then walk. One of the things, and let us give some flowers. You saw that roundabout on the Lansapine Rams area?
Yes.
We spoke about that big tire that was placed there for years and years. They are now replacing that. Congratulations.
I haven't been going to that direction in a wee bit.
I saw that yesterday and this
I'm
morning.
on the Grandlands here, but sometimes you don't divert to that.
They're creating a circle right there right now.
Okay,
and it's smaller than the tires. So they're going to have an official, maybe gazetted roundabout.
Okay.
We mentioned up high up Woodlands in that junction up going into Woburn, Woodlands area. That temporary area there.
Yes.
We also think that they should have put a temporary. Maybe they move the tires in that direction.
Well, I guess because there's still ongoing work in that road that would lead you to how they call the area. Before you go to after the Woodlands area, you know there's some that road has been there's still a road project going on there. So
yes.
we would not.
And how the Prime Minister speak about that thing going on for too long. That's and the markings on our road. One of the young men was bringing that to my attention. The Tantine area.
Yeah.
When you go into the Reno, vehicles going up to GBSS and so forth.
Yeah.
That's an area that needs some marking on the ground. It is saying to people you need to go all the way around the roundabout to come back to go to GBSS.
Okay.
But the markings and so on, there's no marking that could lead you into that.
Well, then it comes to individuals who are doing the road markings to have the necessary knowledge to know how the markings are supposed to be placed.
Yeah.
Isn't the police are responsible for doing those markings?
No, that's roadworks.
Let's see police doing it,
Yeah, police have taken on that responsibility as an implied function.
Hey, folks, let's take a break. When we come back with some back, we will invite some calls, although the calls already coming. I know folks have been touched by what we're speaking about this morning.
Yes,
so let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we entertain some of the calls and get a feedback from some of our listeners, because they probably have experienced a lot of what we're speaking about, especially in terms of senior citizens and the facilities that are not being applied for them. And even better, especially folks with disabilities and so forth, how they are able to be facilitated and so forth.
Yes.
Let's take that break. When we come back, we invite your calls. Stay with us, folks, to the Point Classic Radio GBN TV.
Grenada is indeed beautiful and worth exploring. We firmly believe that you should be allowed to do so. Why not explore?
Coming up, these chefs and mixologists produce their creative best for their biggest party yet. This steel band has been making a difference for over 40 years. An island filled with beauty, a vibrant culture, and an iconic natural attraction. Now, where can this be? It's all next on this station.
Welcome back, folks. It's To The Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. To The Point this morning. In this segment, we certainly will be entertaining your calls. 445, of course, our discussion this morning. We're talking road safety.
Yes.
How are folks, especially the elderly, how are folks with a disability and so forth are looked after?
Yes.
Is it the way they've been looked after? I mean, all these years, and I think it's time the authorities get up to speed.
Yeah.
If you use a word of that nature with them, to get up to speed in terms of how things are done, are supposed to be supposed to be done. How are we have the right facilities in terms of to accommodate them?
Ivan, Beryl, Emily, the floods and all these gave us a beautiful opportunity to recreate some things. As we rebuild, as we do our roads, the sidewalks, as we do our buildings, retrofit.
But do you think the individuals who have the capacity to do so are thinking along those lines, sir?
I know there has been some thinking, but just maybe not enough.
I think it is just want to be good to them, Anyway, caller, good morning, you're live. Guess we lost that caller. 435-2041, 435-2041. Let's go back to the phone line. Caller, you're alive. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir.
And how are you today?
We're doing great.
Right, and good morning to Mr. McIntyre.
Good day, sir.
Okay, whilst in this conversation, something ran to my memory. And as you deal with roundabout, is it possible, rather than do the structured roundabout, that we do the mark roundabout? And the reason why I'm saying this is based on the width and type of roads that we have. A roundabout is very small, and you discover that vehicles somewhat climb over that hump there. If you do not have that hump there, eventually it could be very comfortable with large vehicles based on the size of trucks that we have now, maneuvering very easily. And I think the structure system is a bottleneck. What do you think about that?
All right. It's debatable.
It is debatable because in some cases, if you have people who've been to the school that the bus drivers that we have on the road went to, you'd have them riding over these things to just make space. Because you see some places where there is
the context of it, the school that they've been to.
Yeah.
It's different than everybody else.
Yes. Because there are places where you have an apex rather than semi or half circle at roundabouts where they should not. And you see them cutting across and they're still going. So if you do not have that high structure that prevents them from riding over, maybe it's an advantage. Right. And as he said about the truck, so it's a given. Maybe in some places it may be applicable, better position.
Caller live. Good morning.
Good morning, GT.
Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. McIntyre.
Good day, sir.
Okay, I want to be plain because I have two things to talk about, and this program this morning touched me. I don't miss this Monday morning program, but this one in particular touched me because I got to talk about it last week. One is for GT and one is for you. Do you know, Mr. McIntyre, can you tell the public where Market Hill is situated, where Market Hill is located? And my answer to you, I think you can't tell nobody that because you talk about science.
Right.
There's no hill. Either man know every street and alley starting from the top of Lucas Street, come right down to the Methodist Church, going to take you on the Carnage and beyond. Mm-hmm. The hill that we call Market Hill is not Market Hill, and I was corrected today by Kenry Craddock's one day, and I never throw it away. That hill is Constitutional Hill. So when you talk about sign, I do hope if you've been drafting to get some of the street correct, I hope none of them elders in call and say, yes, I didn't know because they will be lying. They never talk about that. That hill is Constitutional Hill, and in the middle of that hill is Pointed Street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Pointed Street. There's no hill in Grenada named Market Hill. I want it correct once and for all, and I feel I must use this opportunity to talk about it.
Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm.
Added to that, GT, I hear Mr. McIntyre talk about building what we have in the beginning. Very good in the show. GBN is doing on just the young people in Grenada, and I'm going to say that. If you want to cut me off, it's no problem. I have my backing for that. Every morning for the last 5 months, there's a certain minister listening to me, because I tell him I go call. Every time it's cricket in Karachi, cricket in Pakistan, cricket in Bangladesh. That's the three places they've been focusing for a long time. You're going to tell me basketball playing, or you can't even bring the scores at the semifinals, country and tongue. You can't bring no other sports, lawn tennis, playing table tennis. Every time GBN is only, if people have to pay for it, let the different association know they have to pay to bring the sports news or the basketball news or the lawn tennis. Why y'all not bringing no sports news locally? Well, that in particular, they will bring all netball and cricket, all they doing on just. I wanted to tell the public why.
All right, sir. Thank you a whole lot. Of course, not the nature of the conversation this morning, but of course we respect your opinion that you need to share. 435-2041, 435-2041. That's the number we talk. We're talking road safety. We're talking about, of course, initially. Did you know that hill was called Constitutional?
No, I don't know.
I never knew that.
But
I think it would create that natural name because of the location, I would assume.
Yes, and then Lucas Street, upper, lower, and so forth. I think there are some streets that may take its name based on the activities that happen there.
And the individuals who may have lived in
that area. See, if you look at particular streets in St. George, you have lawyers' offices more on some street than others. Yeah. But as you mentioned, the Constitution and otherwise, there are some things that we have to guard. Yeah. We can the law and the system give us the privilege to change names of things and places over time.
Yes.
It has to go through a particular process and may change. But what we've seen is that things are added over other things without being officially incorporated. And that's one of the challenges. You have places that you mentioned like Baghdad and Saigon and all these places and Brooklyn and all these places just generated and they take the place over time. And the ones that have some real meaning, they overshadow and
get overshadowed.
So he's correct, absolutely.
Caller Live, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
sir. Good morning to your host.
Good day, sir.
Mr. McIntyre. Oh, it's so good that, Mr. McIntyre is on your program this morning and bringing up that important topic, Every year, millions of dollars is going into tourism. And I always ask myself, if the Tourism Authority or the Ministry of Tourism, visit these locations, these sites, these attractive sites, these sites really need to be developed, and years upon years upon years, and nothing has been done to these sites, I'm feeling good now that, he brought up that topic, and it's a topic set out the discussion a long time ago, I'm looking forward that something would be done to make these sites a lot more attractive for tourists, and also for we, not only for tourists, but also for we, as we recognize that the lands and so some of the lands that some of the sites are located on is private lands, but I can attest to, I've been to St. Kitts and Nevis. Nevis have a beautiful hot water spring. I think that is the only thing they have going for them. They have beautiful beaches too. But if someone visits that hot water spring in Nevis, the lands there was and is actually privately owned also. And the way that these people develop that place and make it really attractive, is a page that someone should, we in Grenada who have all these attraction sites, could take a page from these people, and it's only one site that they have in Nevis, that hot water spring there. And come on, man. When you come to Grenada and you realize, well, hey, listen, what we have more than one, whether the land are privately owned or not. But I think that we can do something better, And all this money that is pumping into tourism, I'm telling you, man, they should be doing something much better years ago. Anyhow, thank you for your discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. McIntyre, take care, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you a whole lot. Thank you a whole lot. Call via WhatsApp. Good morning, you're live.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to you.
My question is, on the above Lovers Lane at the top by the roundabout, beginning Lucas Street, the upper Lucas Street, where Government House was, there is a side road there, it's a left, taking you to Archibald Avenue and to the Villa. There is a wall there that fell down, and the road is not passable. My question to you is, who is responsible for removing the big bits of concrete and allowing the road to be free? Is it the resident, the person who lives there, or is it the government? Who is responsible for clearing that road? It's been there like that since burial.
Who's responsible, Mr. Mike?
Yeah, it's a public space, and the public entity has responsibility to make public access to members of the public. If it is definitely private owned, where some restrictions have been placed, obviously the owners there have sole authority. But once it's a public space where the public they're authorized to use it, the state has responsibility primarily to have it removed. However, if any other persons or entities wishes to contribute or collaborate here, in some cases the authority may not be aware. And I'm hoping that information now coming out, it's an awareness to them. Maybe.
Well, I have noticed a no entry posted there.
Okay.
So which means the authorities know.
Okay. So maybe it's a matter of time for them to deal with it. And sometimes how we see priority may not be how an entity sees that priority.
Okay, understandable. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, GT, and good morning to Mr. McIntyre.
Sir. Good morning to you, sir.
Yes, the part of St. George's that is called Canash Hill, exactly where is that part located? I have not finished my question. I just want to find out. It will give me an exact description because
So Canash Hill has to be that strip of road between you have Cross Street, I think Go Street. That's where you have Flow and those other places going up there, and then you have on the right side going up. You have Granite Town Road going up, and then you have that other portion going on there that goes across and it junctions. It's
called Young Street, right?
Yeah, Young Street. Yeah. So Canash Hill is a short strip of road.
Right. So it's believed that in the days when I think it was the British and the French that fought for Grenada, when they were fighting for Grenada, the Fort George was the battleground for the French. They had all up to now the relics are still there, and that ship that the British, they used to be firing back and forth from the ship, the warship, and from the fort. And so there was battle between the British and the French for Grenada. And that part, now, if you leave, you could get hurt with the guns that were fired. But that place that we call Canash Hill is really corner shield, because if you were there, the guns wouldn't take you. It's CORNERSHIELD. So after a time, the neighbors lost, and people began calling it Canash Hill.
Okay.
It's really corner shield. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for that history lesson. Interesting. Yeah?
Very interesting.
This may be your final caller for the morning, Mr. McIntyre. Good morning, caller. You're live. Caller via WhatsApp.
Yes,
you're
good
live.
morning.
Could you please lower the device
Just
that you have in the background, please?
It's not Constitutional Hill. I was about to call in to talk about Market Hill, but it's really Constitution Hill, not constitutional.
Oh, okay.
Constitution Hill.
Constitution.
And also to correct that caller who said that the road is impassable. I passed on that road up to Saturday. That's Woolwich Road. The road is open. The debris has been cleared from the road, and the traffic is flowing nicely.
Oh,
so that's just a correction. And in terms of the roundabout, removing the structure of the roundabout, I would strongly disagree, because as Mr. Mack was alluding to, the buses for one would not go around it anymore.
All right.
Because the wall is there, and sometimes they even climb the wall.
Thank you,
but
sir.
if the wall is not there, it makes it easier for them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, hold on, sir. Thank you for your contribution this morning.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's take one more.
Yes, let's
take one
this
more.
last one.
Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to Mr. McIntyre.
Good morning to you, sir.
Something I've seen, in my neck of the woods, that Nawasa is the digging up the road and the laying pipes, right? But what I see happen is they give the contract to the same company that laying the pipe to do fix back the road. And I don't know if the same company have the expertise to fix back the road. But after a couple months, you will see that part of the road drop. So you have an uneven surface for drivers. Then you have the Ministry of Works have to come back in a few months and fix that area again. So you're actually spending double money on that same like the problem. So it's just what you call it third world mindset. When you're doing something in this country, you're supposed to do it right the first time. You don't do it once and twice and 3 times to get it right. That's the problem what people have. When they try to do something, they do it about 4 times to get it right. And that goes to say, we're thinking with that third world mindset. First of all, they give a company to lay pipes. You give the regular company that normally fix the road the contract to fix back the road. So you have an even surface, and it would last a longer time, and everybody's happy. So we need to think in that direction. Not thinking of giving the same company that laid the pipe, who don't have the expertise to fix back the road, the same contract to fix the road. It doesn't work like that. Have a nice day, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a whole lot.
So, with regards to that, I'm not too sure that the caller's facts is totally on point.
Yeah.
Maybe might have had some experience with that, might have been the case, but I know in Nawasa's defense, they do award contracts to different entities for different aspects.
So there's a company responsible for laying the pipe
and the others that do the fixing, construction or other company.
But he's saying that the same company that is responsible for laying the pipes are also responsible for repairing the road.
That's not totally. In some cases, that might have happened, but it is not. I know on Nawasa's behalf, it's not generally regular practice. I know personally they have done it.
Mr. Mack, we close to get to that time of the morning. We have to take a wrap for today's program. It'd be interesting that we could go all morning with the conversation. Because interesting to hear, of course, a contribution I'm receiving from our listening and viewing audience this morning. Certainly is breathtaking sometimes to what they have to say.
Yes.
Anything in closing this morning, sir?
I just want to remind our listening, or viewing, or following public that the focus today is still an aspect of road safety, but with the conscious bearing of that and the facility and facilitation of our senior citizens and those who are living with disabilities in our day-to-day movement, in our rehabilitation, in our reconstruction, in our building processes, in our redesigns and otherwise. Let us remember that those who have attained a particular stage and age in life, they need to be always considered. And those who are not privileged, as most of us are, with all of our faculties and facility and whatever else, yes, we should also remember them in all of our doing.
All right. I want to say thanks to all our listeners and viewers this morning. Join me again tomorrow for another edition of To The Point. Until then, have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye. Have a good one, folks. Of course, you could join me and myself and Mr. McIntyre next Monday for another edition of course, when we talk about road safety and so forth. Have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye.